Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and it's time to talk about the Newcastle United Takeover saga. Right, for most football fans, you'll remember the Saudi-backed takeover attempt failing on its arse last summer. But for Newcastle fans, that wasn't the end of it. Since the collapse, the deal has still been rumbling away in the background, with Mike Ashley launching 2 legal battles against the Premier League as he looks to resurrect the deal. He'd agreed a £305 million deal to sell the club to PCP Capital Partners, with 80% of the club set to be owned by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Because of their involvement, the Premier League refused to give a definitive answer to their owners and directors test, leaving Newcastle United in limbo. That limbo remains, with Ashley's arbitration battle being delayed until the start of 2022. It was a deal that threatened to take Newcastle to the top of the footballing pyramid and, more importantly for Toon fans, rid them of Mike Ashley once and for all. But for the moment, the Sports Direct tycoon's going absolutely nowhere. But what if this was different on Football Manager? Well, using a downloaded database from Steam and the help of the editor, I've made the takeover happen. Newcastle are no longer owned by Mike Ashley. Instead, they are one of the richest clubs around, with Amanda Staveley calling the shots. But just how long will it take for them to climb the division? Or will their newfound wealth still not be enough to awaken this sleeping giant? I'm James from Elecspo, and this is Newcastle United if the Saudi takeover happened this summer. Let's go. Right, here we are on the 31st of May 2021. Newcastle have just finished 12th in the Premier League despite being in the midst of a relegation battle for a long time. They moved away from the bottom 3 and they survived coming 12th, mainly inspired by Joe Willock. In the off-season though, they have been taken over. Newcastle United are rich. They are a rich club. Let's have a look at the staff. They are owned by Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which is a little bit of an issue because I'm pretty sure the whole arbitration is trying to prove that he's not involved, but he is involved here and he's the owner of the club. But anyway, the chairman is Amanda Staveley, and directors we have got David and Simon, the Reuben brothers. In reality it was meant to be Jamie Reuben, the son, being the director, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Newcastle United have been taken over and they are one of the richest clubs in world football. There are no philosophy set. The only thing I have set in the editor is a 10-year plan to become the most reputable club in world football. It'll coincide with Saudi Arabia's 2030 vision or whatever it's called. By then, Newcastle will hopefully be the biggest club in the world. But will it be possible? I'm going to look at 5 seasons here. I'm going to go to the summer of 2026. We'll look at it year after year, see who Newcastle have signed, see how they've done in the cup, see if they can maybe even win a trophy. This is a club that haven't won a trophy since 1969 when it was the Fairs Cup. The trophy doesn't even exist anymore. The last thing they won was they won the certificate in a total cup. I mean, that was embarrassing. Scott Parker looked devastated. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to simulate a year into the future. Let's see how Newcastle get on with their first year of their newfound wealth. Will Steve Bruce spend it wisely? Let's find out. Okay, here we are a year into the future, the 12th of June 2022, and Newcastle United under new owners have stood still. They've finished 12th again. This isn't very good at all. They've got 45 points. I'm going to compare that to last season, where they also got 45 points. Absolutely nothing has changed for Newcastle United. Despite being one of the richest clubs in the world, they are still 12th in the Premier League. Let's check them out. They are no longer managed by Steve Bruce. Instead, it is Pachetta who is calling the shots. They haven't gone for a big name. There's been no Rafa Benitez return or a Maurizio Pochettino or someone like that. They replaced Steve Bruce with Pachetta on the 2nd of December 2021. Steve Bruce sacked on the 6th of November after just over 2 years in charge. Let's have a look at the table when he lost his job. So it was the 6th of November. Let's have a little look. There are Newcastle. And to be honest, it was going quite badly. They got beaten by Man United at home 2-1, leaving them 19th in the Premier League. And to be honest, they spent a lot of the season fighting off relegation. That would have been a devastating start of the Saudi ownership, being a championship club. But a late rally saw them surge up the table and finished a somewhat respectable 12th position. But it's been quite a bad start for Amanda Staveley and co. Let's see how they've got on in the cup competitions. The League Cup, they were beaten in the quarter-finals by Liverpool 4-0, not a bad run. And in the FA Cup, they lost in the 4th round to Sheffield United. But I mean, if you look at the Premier League results, it's been pretty poor, to be honest. They got off to a rotten start. They didn't taste victory until the 18th of September when they beat Swansea, who for some reason have came up instead of Brentford. But that doesn't matter. That's not an issue here. Let's have a look at the transfers, see who they have signed in their first year. Their first signing on the 15th of June was Thomas Souček. He arrived from West Ham for £31.5 million. Since then, they have spent. In total, around 140 million quid has been spent, nearly 150 million. They spent 39 million on Mert Mulder from Sassuolo, Marcao, the centre-back from Galatasaray, Facundo Pellistri from Man United, one for the future. They've also got Patrick Bamford, Joe Rodon, Jesse Lingard, the West Ham superstar, obviously that from Man United here, a bargain there at £2.5 million. Some decent names arriving at St James's Park, but it hasn't translated to results on the pitch. They've got rid of Isaac Hayden on loan. They got rid of Fernandez, Jamal Lascelles, the captain left the club. That's why John Joe Shelby's now the skipper. Let's have a look at the team. The best player at the club, John Joe Shelby. 14 assists. Callum Wilson, the top scorer, getting 19 goals. Elsewhere, who else has performed? Anselm Maximan's been alright. Thomas Souček's done well. Jesse Lingard, he's been alright as well. Daniele Rugani, a new arrival, been decent. Patrick Bamford only played 15 times and he only scored 5 goals. Joe Linton's been out on loan and he's been absolutely sensational, so maybe he could be one to watch next season. But after a year, Newcastle have spent big money, they've changed managers, the owners are doing their part. Now it's on to the players and the manager to start delivering. After season 1 they have finished 12th. They've got exactly the same points as they did under Mike Ashley in his last season. It's not been good enough, but will things change in season 2? Let's have a look. Right, here we are, year 2 of this experiment, and Newcastle are slowly, very slowly, climbing the Premier League table. Last season they were 12th. This season they're in the top half. They've came 10th. Which isn't bad at all. It's progress, that's all we can ask for. They got 51 points, 6 more than they got the season prior. Before we go anywhere, Cristiano Ronaldo is playing for Liverpool. How on earth has that happened? They got him on a free. What a signing that is. Cristiano Ronaldo at Liverpool. Wow, it's as if I've done my own experiment here. I haven't. That's totally happened off the cuff. Wow, that's amazing. Anyway, Newcastle United, let's focus on them. 10th in the Premier League. Have they done anything in the Cups? Let's have a little look. The League Cup beaten straight away by Man United in the 3rd round. But the FA Cup was a different story. They beat Burn in the 3rd round. Bristol in the 4th round. Bristol City, that is. 5th round, they knocked out Charlton. In the quarters, they beat Wolves comprehensively 4-0. A semi-final win in extra time against Aston Villa. Thomas Souček in the 97th minute with the deciding goal. And in the final, they were beaten by Manchester City, but Newcastle made a major final under PIF. Under Amanda Staveley, they have made a cup final after just 2 years. They were beaten by Man City, there's no shame in that, losing 3-2, clearly a tight game. They even went ahead after 6 minutes with Thomas Souček getting the goal. He looks like he's been a great signing. Let's have a look at the other signings, see who else Newcastle have brought in. They've absolutely smashed their transfer record. Initially it was 40 million quid for Joe Linton, now it is 70 million quid for Declan Rice. He's got a contract until 2027, he's on 140 grand a week, and what a first year he's had at St James's Park. There's some other notable signings. Vitolo on a free, Salisu from Southampton, big money. We haven't seen much from him in reality. Zappacosta on a free, Guendouzi on a free, and Mahmoud Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund. Decent little signing that one in the middle of the park. 10 appearances, just shy of a 7, which is alright. Outgoings, 19 million quid coming back into the club. But in total, they've spent almost 200 million. The spending is only going up. And it's kind of worked. They've gone up 2 places and made a cup final. So it's progress. It's slow progress, but it is progress nonetheless. After 1 season, Declan Rice already the best player at the club. Guendouzi's had a good first year. Souček performing well. So the new signings are proving their worth. Let's have a look at where the goals are coming from. Callum Wilson, 13, the top scorer. Just 1 ahead of Mariano, who's arrived from Real Madrid, Spanish striker. 11 goals, not a bad return. The captain, John Joe Shelby's on the transfer list. Obviously, they've had enough of him. He's no longer the number 8 as well. How much is he on the transfer list for? Just £3.1 million. It is all change already at Newcastle. There's so many new players came in. A lot of players have been sold. Miguel Almiron's on the transfer list. St Maximan's a wanted man. Wanted by Juventus though, so it's a big club. Manquillo's been sent out on loan. Kraft's been sent out on loan. Hayden's been sent out on loan. So much change at Newcastle United. The club, after only 2 years, are barely recognisable. But they're still, I mean, they're climbing the division. It hasn't been a relegation battle. 10th in the Premier League, a cup final. They are making slow but steady progress. It's progress nonetheless. Now we move on to season 3, where I've got a feeling things might start to heat up. Let's find out. Let's see if I'm right. That's just an absolute guess, by the way. They might do worse. Let's find out. Right, here we are, the 9th of June 2024, and Newcastle, despite getting less points than the season before, have once again climbed the Premier League table. They got 49 points, which isn't a great tally, yet it's been enough for them to finish 8th. They've finished above Wolves, Tottenham, Leeds, West Ham, some big teams. But Newcastle, pretty much the best of the rest. Obviously, I mean, Leicester are a big 6 club, more so than Arsenal. Everton trying to get in there. Newcastle with 49 points, finishing ahead of Wolves and Norwich on goal difference. Let's check them out. There's been a change of manager. They have now got Nuno Espirito Santo. Let's see what has happened there. Pochettino was sacked on the 20th of January 2024. Now that they've got a decent name there in Nuno, and he has guided Newcastle to 8th in the Premier League. Let's see where they were when Pochettino got the sack. So it was the 20th of January. Let's have a look at the past positions. Newcastle got off to a pretty rotten start. On the 20th of January they were beaten by Leicester. They were sitting in 13th in the Premier League. Nuno came in, and to be honest, things got a little bit worse before they got better. But just like Pochettino in his first season, steadily climbed the table and finished 8th in the Premier League. Has there been any cup success to shout about? Let's have a little look. League Cup beaten in the 4th round by Arsenal. As for the FA Cup, they were last season's beaten finalists. This year they lost in the 4th round to Liverpool, which is, I mean, there's no shame in losing to Liverpool. This is a team that's got Cristiano Ronaldo, for goodness sake. Let's have a look at the transfers. Let's see what has gone on. After breaking their transfer record the year prior on Declan Rice for 70 million quid, on the 15th of June they went one further and spent £114 million on Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. He's been given the number 3 shirt, 175 grand a week. What a signing and what a start it's been in a Newcastle shirt. 8 goals, 11 assists, a rating of 7.39. Obviously Bukayo Saka are a lot in the headlines at the minute because of his penalty miss. But what a player he's going to be. And he signed for Newcastle for 114 million. After that, the rest of the summer, they didn't spend as much money. Alphonse Areola arriving, Estupiñán from Villarreal, just shy of 40 million. And some other little names, but nothing exciting massively. Joe Gomez is an interesting one on loan from Liverpool. Don't know why they've let him go on loan. Going out, they've got rid of Fraser, Shelvey, Darlow, Hayden, Longstaff, Jamal Lewis, Manquillo, Dubravka and Rodrigo Vilcher. So many of the original Newcastle squad have been sold on. It's all changed nowadays. Mariano, the top scorer with 16 goals. Callum Wilson didn't even get in double figures. He's not really featuring that much nowadays. Who was the best player at the club? It was Declan Rice, followed by Bukayo Saka. You've got to go down all the way here to Alan St Maximan to find the best player who was originally at the club. I mean, no matter what happened in Newcastle, if there was a massive takeover and big names started arriving, Alan St Maximan would fit in. The man's got more natural ability in his right finger than most of us have got in our entire bodies. He's an incredible talent. But I mean, if you just look at the size of the squad, if you go down to the bottom there, Joe Gomez didn't really feature much. Patrick Bamford's barely played. Souček, he's a substitute nowadays. Zappacosta, don't know why they signed him. Areola, he's the number 1, but he's been quite poor. Almiron, barely featured, still on the transfer list. Pellistri, one for the future, but again, only made 2 substitute appearances. It's such a big squad. Yet it is a squad that is now, you could say it, a solidified top half Premier League team. Just going to check the owners are still, I'm going to assume they're still there. Yep, still Amanda Staveley, Ben Salmon, the Rubens. Still calling the shots. It's still their money that they're pumping into this club. That after 3 years, at least they've made it into the top half of the Premier League. They are 8th. They are banging on the door of the European places. But in season 4, will they make it? Let's find out. Okay, here we are, season 4 of this experiment, and amazingly, Newcastle United have finished in a Champions League place. They have climbed the table, they've soared up the ranks, they've gone from 8th to 4th, 72 points on the board, to put them ahead of Arsenal, ahead of Tottenham, ahead of Man United, ahead of Leicester, ahead of Everton, ahead of Leeds, ahead of some big teams, and they have finished 4th in the Premier League, and in next season, they will be a Champions League team. This is exactly what the Saudis' money can do to Newcastle. They have taken them from a team just floating in the bottom half, just trying to survive really. Now they're ambitious, now they're trying to climb the table. And after just 4 years, they are a Champions League club. You'll notice there Dominic Calvert-Lewin sharing the golden boot with Liverpool's Erling Haaland, and that is Newcastle's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He is the new number 9, 200 grand a week, absolutely huge. He cost £67 million from Everton. He got 17 goals in 33 appearances in his first season, averaging a goal every other game. Pretty damn good if you ask me. And he has played a key role in Newcastle's massive surge up the table. Nuno, of course, still the manager. Declan Rice, the skipper. Let's have a look at the Cup, see what's been going on. League Cup beaten straight away by Leeds, which was pretty poor. FA Cup also didn't progress, beaten by Middlesbrough, a little bit of a local derby. Kind of lost 3-2, but it was all about the Premier League form for Newcastle, and they have finished in the Champions League. I mean, if you look at here, there's been goals from Calvert-Lewin, Alan St-Maximin, Bukayo Saka, David Brooks. He's been a signing. Let's have a look at the transfers, see who's arrived this summer. End of last summer, they added Elmas from Napoli, an attacking midfielder, North Macedonia. They got Kepa for some reason, strange signing. Is he the number 1? He is, 175 grand a week, and you know what it is? He's actually been pretty good. He's been pretty good for Chelsea actually in this simulation. Maybe his football manager think he's a lot better than he is in reality. Some big signings here. £284 million spent. Cantwell for nearly 50 million. David Brooks just over 40 million. Jonathan Tah 53 million. Tyler Adams nearly 40 million quid. Massive signings. And you know what it is? They're signing young players. They're not getting has-beens. They're not getting players coming for a paycheck. They're getting young players who can make a difference, can kick on, and can climb Newcastle up the table. Going out, there's been some big names as well. 103 million quid coming into the club. So it's the first time where they've actually made a bit of money. 103 million. Manquillo's left. They've got rid of Almiron. Freddie Woodman's been let go. Jamal Lewis. Even my Longstaff's been allowed to go. A lot of the players signed in the first summer have been allowed to leave as well. Dahoud's gone, Zava Costa, Joe Roden, Jesse Lingard's been allowed to leave on loan, Paddy Bamford. The turnover of players at Newcastle is absolutely incredible, but the one consistent at the top is Declan Rice. He's the club captain already, and he is the best player. 230 grand a week. The wages being thrown around by Newcastle are absolutely huge. I mean, I think right now, Jonjo Shelvey might be the best paid player, about 70 grand a week. I'm not sure. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, 200 grand a week, and he scored 18 goals already in his first season. Bukayo Saka doing brilliant as well. Despite being the number 3, he is playing in attack, which is good to see. He shouldn't be playing in defence. He's far too good for that. But next season, Newcastle United, with their fancy, expensive players, their new owners, they will be in the Champions League club. It'll be the 5th and final season we're going to look at in part 1. Of course, there's going to be a part 2. I don't even care if you don't want it. I'm doing it. I like talking about this. It's better than talking about actual Newcastle. But let's simulate into the 5th season. They're going to be a Champions League club. Will it attract bigger names? Will it even bring about a trophy? Maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe they will win the Champions League. There's only one way to find out. Let's load up season 5. Right, here we are on the 14th of June 2026, the 5th and final season we're going to look at in part 1. Newcastle United, they haven't finished in a Champions League place this season, but they are trying to establish themselves as a top 6 club. They finished 6th, 60 points, just getting into the Europa League, ahead of Arsenal on goal difference. Let's check Newcastle out. Nuno is still the manager. They're still very, very rich. let's have a look at how they got on in the Champions League, and my word, did they have a tough group. They were in there with Real Madrid, Inter Milan and Lyon. But I mean, things got off to a absolutely amazing start. They came from 2-0 down at St James's Park to beat Real Madrid 3-2. That'll have been one of the nights that just made you pinch yourself. Couldn't believe that this takeover's happened. They are suddenly here in the Champions League, coming from behind to beat a giant like Real Madrid. And they even made it out of the group stage. They made it into the first knockout round, where unfortunately for them, they were beaten by Bayern Munich. They lost 3-2 on aggregate. They did win the away leg 1-0, but sadly that was where the dream ended. But I mean, there's no shame in getting beaten by Bayern Munich in your first season in the Champions League since probably 2003, 2004 maybe, probably about then. You'll notice in the FA Cup they were beaten in the quarter-final by Liverpool, but the eagle-eyed viewers will notice that Newcastle United have won a trophy. They have won the League Cup. In the third round, it was a tough draw. They beat Chelsea on penalties. In the fourth round, they beat Nottingham Forest 2-1, Mariano with a brace. In the fifth round, the quarters, they got past Man United. So this has been a tough cup run, setting up a semi-final with Leicester, where they won 5-4 on aggregate. A 4-1 win in the home leg was pretty much enough to put them through. It did do that. It set up a final with Everton. It was 1-1 in normal time, and Newcastle won it on penalties. In front of a sold-out Wembley, 90,000 fans witnessed Newcastle finally, for the first time since 1969, for the first time since 1955, winning a domestic trophy. They did it. Bukayo Saka scored the opening goal. Dwight McNeil levelled things up, and then it was a 4-1 win on penalties. After 5 seasons, Newcastle United have done it. The new owners have got what they came for. They have turned Newcastle into a European club and a trophy winning club. The years and years of hurt are over for Newcastle. I mean, England fans, they talk about us coming home and 30 years of hurt and whatnot. Newcastle haven't won a domestic trophy since 1955. The last competition they won doesn't exist anymore. But on FM 2021, with the Saudi takeover, it has taken them 5 years. And on March the 1st, 2026, they've won the League Cup. Nuno Espirito Santo, he is the absolute man for Newcastle United. Declan Rice, the man lifting the trophy high above his head. A once upon a time record signing for the club. Let's have a look at the other signing and see what they've done. Another huge signing from Arsenal, Gabriel Martinelli, this time for 114 million. I think that's the same fee they paid for Bukayo Saka. They've also added Fikayo Tomori, Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial's a weird one, 33 million quid. At the age of 30, he's the number 9. Only scored twice, which is quite poor. Not really sure why he's taken Calvert-Lewin's number, because Calvert-Lewin is still there. Calvert-Lewin's the number 11 now. Maybe he didn't fancy the number 9. He's hit double figures in his second year, doing well. Best player at the club, actually. Martinelli, for all the money spent on him, he's had a good first year as well. 205 grand a week. And he scored 9 Premier League goals in his debut season at St James's Park. Bukayo Saka, of course, playing well, but he's a wanted man, wanted by Manchester City. But there have been some big departures, mainly Alan St-Maximin. Alan St-Maximin was kind of the poster boy of the original Newcastle era, but he's been allowed to go to Manchester United for 52 million quid. They've already lost David Brooks, he's left, Mariano's left, Gaz Brady's gone. Gaz Brady, was he not involved in the Celtic and Rangers experiment? Was he not a mainstay for Celtic? Somehow he's ended up at Newcastle in this simulation, and he's been sold, so that's probably the last we'll talk about Gaz Brady, but it's good to have him back. I wonder if it's the same guy. It's probably not, it's a different simulation, who knows. It's nice to know they've got these names on repeat, but Newcastle United, look at the money spent. It was rising. Twice they've spent more than £100 million on players for Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli. As I said before, they've been spending kind of sensibly. They've been bringing in young players who can kick on, not players coming in for a payday. They haven't really spent much on anyone over the age of 30. Let's have a look at the contracts that have been thrown around. The highest earner at the club is Declan Rice, 230 grand a week. He is one of 3 players earning 200 grand plus. So many players on more than 100 grand. But that's just the way things are at Newcastle now. They've got a big manager in Nuno, currently the Spurs boss in reality. and for the second season in a row they finished in the top 6. Last season they came 4th, got into the Champions League, some memorable nights against Real Madrid, against Inter Milan, against Lyon, against Bayern, where they eventually knocked out. This season they finished 6th, next season they'll be playing in the Europa League, but that doesn't matter because Newcastle have finally won a trophy, and that is mainly down to the investment of Amanda Staveley, the Reuben brothers, and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. This Newcastle takeover isn't happening yet in reality, but on FM 2021, after 5 years, it has brought European football and a trophy. But what will happen in the upcoming years? You will find out when I bring you part 2, probably sometime next week, whenever I get around to doing the video. But that is where we are going to leave things. Newcastle spending huge money, winning trophies, winning a trophy and playing in Europe. The landscape of English football is changing. Newcastle are coming. By 2030, will they be the biggest club in the world? But it's an ongoing thing. It might take longer than 2030. It'll probably take longer than before 2030. But that's the aim. Will it happen? How long will it take? You will have to find out when we bring you part 2, maybe part 3, maybe even part 4. As long as I enjoy talking about this and people keep watching. But we will leave things there. After 5 years, Newcastle have won a trophy and they have played Champions League football thanks to the investment of the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Christ, this is a rambling end. We will leave things there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. And until next time, we will see you around.